Okay, Mike, you're all set. You're streaming and you're, oh, wait a minute, what happened to the recording? Okay, well, I told it to record. I don't know why it's not. Give me a second then.
Okay,
You did it in under 7 minutes?
There we go. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but you're good to go.
we're good to go. Well, thank you, Carol. Good evening, everyone. We may get some additional people, but at the moment we have 5, so we have a quorum. And it's 7, so I'll call the meeting to order.
And you should note who it is here for the record.
Okay, would you like to do a roll call, Carol?
I can note who is in attendance
Okay,
for you, sure. You have Mark Katie, Bob Murphy, Mary Sattel, Mike Steers, Helen Woodhouse, Bob Torsia, and David Boscheman.
terrific, thank you. So the first item of business, as always, is to review the minutes from the previous meeting of April 6th. Does anyone have any corrections, additions, or deletions to those minutes?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Anyone opposed to that? Hearing none, we'll consider that passed unanimously.
For the record, let it show that Richard Ross is also in attendance at this time.
Oh, thank you. So the item of new business this evening is a petition by the Sampsons for a variance on Plat 12, Lot 63. And I'll, I guess, turn this over to Ray, who I see is there with Bill Smith to present the petition.
Thank you, Michael. I'm here in Bill Smith's office, and we have Scott Rabideau also available because he can shed some light on what we're doing. And Allison and Trip Sampson are also here, so that if anybody from the board has any questions, they can answer those directly. The subject property is, as Michael said, Lot 63, Plat 12. It's located at 20L Secana Point Road, which is down basically a dirt road off Secana Point Road. The lot is approximately 3.4 acres. It has a single family house on it now, and it's been there long before zoning. It's a very wet lot. It's a very difficult lot, and it's very difficult to build in accordance with today's rules and regulations. The house on the site has 4 bedrooms, and what the Sampsons would like to do is basically rebuild the house, and it would be a 3-bedroom house. It has a cesspool now serving it, and if you saw it, you'd be glad we were going to get rid of that. Bill Smith has designed a new septic system, a state of the art, and he's going to speak in about a minute and tell you what his area of expertise is as far as this application is concerned. Scott Rabideau is a biologist and has flagged the wetlands. Bill has filed an application with DEM for a new septic system for the new house, which, as I understand, has been granted. And because of the location of the house, it has to go also to CRMC. That's Scott's area of expertise. And as we know, we have an ordinance in Little Compton that says that we have a 100-foot setback from basically water bodies. The first 50 feet of it is controlled basically if you need relief by the zoning board. The second 50 feet is by the building inspector, where he can administratively allow for that. Mr. Medeiros and I and Bill met a number of times, and he had agreed to, if DEM said the septic system was okay, he would give his administrative approval, which I believe, and Bill can tell us more about this, he has agreed to, and he might have even posted it today or yesterday. I don't know that. I haven't been in the town hall. In any event, we need to get a variance of 35 feet because we're only 15 feet away from the 50-foot requirement for the town. That again goes to the zoning board in Little Compton. Assuming that gets approved, we then have to go back to CRMC. CRMC will not give its approval. They're the final ones to give approval. In other words, you have to come there with everything from the local level, and then they will give you their decision. We've already filed the documentation with CRMC, and my understanding is that they don't have any problem with things. They're just so backlogged we can't get them to move. So accordingly, I'm going to let Bill go here from now, and he can tell you about the septic issue, and then Scott can tell you about the CRMC issue because those are not my area. So Bill, can you carry it?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. When we first started the project, we had designed a 4-bedroom advanced treatment septic system as a repair to match the existing 4-bedroom home. Turned out the house was full of mold and mildew and really was not renovatable. That's probably not the right word, but able to be modified such that it could adequately be lived in. So we revised the application to DEM as a 3-bedroom alteration because the 3-bedroom was actually what the Sampsons were looking for. They didn't need the extra bedroom, so we were able to downsize that. We've submitted that to DEM. DEM has approved, they actually approved both of them, but the current plan, the latest plan is the one for the 3-bedroom alteration to replace them. It's an advanced treatment bottomless sand filter. Gives currently the house is served by a cesspool, virtually no treatment of the sewage. What we're proposing is something much more extensive. We pass pathogens, denitrify the waste, as well as remove phosphates. Much better. They say it's drinking water quality when it leaves the system, although I haven't seen any of the manufacturers drink the glass. But it is a much better situation than what currently exists with the we're slightly further away from the wetlands at the closest point. We've tried to adhere to the 15-foot setback at CRMC. Scott has talked with it. He can expound on that further. So when we were designing the house and trying to lay it out, we tried to maximize our distance to the wetlands, which slightly further away from the wetlands than the current house is. Really, in a nutshell, that's what we're trying to do. We've got the house that's in terrible condition that needs to be replaced, and we're trying to do that for the Sampsons.
So Bill, I understand completely that you want, or the Sampsons want to replace the house. But if they wanted to stay with the 4-bedroom house, you have approval for a new septic system. Would CRMC let you put that system in?
Yes, the septic system is virtually in the same place, and the 4-bedroom was done as a repair, so there's less restriction than the alteration. So they would certainly have done that. They did approve it previously, and then we've superseded that 4-bedroom application with the 3-bedroom proposal for the house.
So the need for a variance is driven by the house being replaced as opposed to being fixed up?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, Scott, you were there somewhere? Okay,
I'm
there.
here.
Okay, Scott, can you explain to the board the issues surrounding CRMC and this project and what has to get done?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, good to see you.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, in case you don't know, Scott is a biologist and the number one guru on these matters in the state of Rhode Island. So he, he's sort of like everybody listens to him. So that's why he's here with us tonight.
You're too kind, Mr. Holland. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that don't know me, I'm Scott Rabideau. I'm a professional wetland scientist. My company is Natural Resource Services, Inc. We're in Harrisville, Rhode Island, as far away as you can get from Little Compton and still be in Rhode Island. I did the wetland delineation for the Sampsons on this property in June of 2020. And, we delineated basically what is regulated by the CRMC as a swamp. And, the swamp extends to the east, it extends to the north, it extends to the south. But it's not a, for lack of a better term, it's not a wetland. It's, if you look back at the aerial photographs, this entire parcel was farmed back in the 1930s and the 1940s. So, the farmer could get in there in August, when the groundwater was dry. It's a very high groundwater area. It doesn't have a lot of surface hydrology where you would see, standing water, throughout the year. In the area. So, but it does meet the definition of a wetland in Rhode Island. It is regulated under the CRMC's freshwater wetlands in the vicinity of the coast rules. So it's not regulated under their coastal program. It's under their freshwater program. In order to get to CRMC, as Mr. Holland pointed out, you need to get through all of your local processes first. However, the CRMC does have a procedure called a preliminary determination, where they will review a project and provide recommendations for the final application and verify the edge of the wetland. We submitted a preliminary determination to the CRMC on February 18th. Normally, those applications get through in about 45 to 60 days. It was accepted as complete on March 5th. So we're right at the 60-day point with the CRMC at this time. I've spoken to the biologist. They've lost staff over the course of the last month. They're down 2 professionals, and she's trying to get this finalized and get a preliminary determination findings out to us before the zoning board meeting, which I believe is May 19th. So hopefully we will have that in hand. Until we get that, what I can tell you is the existing structure is within about 12 or 13 feet at its closest point to the freshwater wetland. We're trying to maintain a full 15 feet of separation distance from the freshwater wetland to the new structure. 15 feet is what CRMC considers the minimum necessary to build a house and to be able to maintain the outside of a house. So we meet what would be their standards. The issue with a septic system, obviously, as Bill Smith pointed out, we have a cesspool here. And to replace that cesspool with a denitrification system is obviously in everybody's best interest. Mr. Chairman, to answer your question directly, the way the CRMC freshwater wetland regulations are structured, if we just did a repair, that would be an exempt activity. So you wouldn't actually need a freshwater wetland permit in order to get the repair of the septic system in place. That's how important it is to the CRMC. But they recognize that, if you're going to invest in that type of work, oftentimes rehabilitation of the house or demolition and reconstruction of the house is also in the cards, and reducing the size from 4 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms is in CRMC's world considered a very much a positive. So I anticipate when we submit this to CRMC, this will get approved through their insignificant alteration process. I don't anticipate this being an application to alter where significant wetland alteration is deemed, as part of the project. As far as the zoning board, when we go to the zoning board, I know that, we have to demonstrate that in order, one of the standards is, the hardship resulting from this project is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or the structure. That's really obvious here. The house was was built, they created this knoll in the area to build the house back in the 1960s. So it's very unique. And one of the other standards is it won't alter the character of the land. This really is, it's basically putting a new house on the existing footprint of the old house. So the character is going to be maintained. And from the environmental perspective, because we're upgrading that septic system, it's going to be a benefit overall to some of the functions and values that we protect freshwater wetlands for. Mr. Holland, if you have any other questions for me, I'll gladly answer them.
Michael, if anyone from the board has any questions, I mean, please feel free.
No, please, people speak up. It sounds to me like you're improving every facet of this project.
I have a
Attorney,
quick
Have
question.
presently your new house to standard and code and replacing the septic system. But does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I was just looking in the explanation. It says a new dwelling will have a lot coverage of approximately 982 square feet. In the affidavit, it's 82 square feet bigger or 42 square feet bigger. In the affidavit, it said it's 40 square feet less. Are we making the new building bigger or smaller?
It's big. I'm sorry if there's a confusion. I don't have it right in front of me. The new building is approximately 42 feet bigger.
And does that include the deck and the porch? Is that a new deck and a new porch on there too?
My
And the lot
understanding,
coverage?
Bill can answer that. My understanding is that yes.
Yes.
So it's the footprint, whatever is the footprint.
So
That
the
does
new
include the
deck and the
deck,
square,
stairs.
is that included in the 1982 or?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, it is. It's included in the 1980.
That does include the deck, the stairs, the porch, all of the things that would be considered building coverage, structural coverage for additional zoning.
Ray, I have one question. On the explanation and the affidavit, it refers to plat 12, lot 43, not 63.
It's supposed to be 63.
Yeah, and twice in the explanation, it says 43. And then over on page 2 of the explanation, it refers to the 100-foot setback as DEM. That's actually Little Compton's setback. It says right under it that DEM is 50, so it's
Where is that, Mark?
on page 2 of the explanation. At the very top,
Okay.
it says within the
Okay.
100-foot
Okay.
DEM setback, but it's really, that's, the 100-foot is Little Compton, 50 is DEM.
All right, thank you. I'll make note of that and I'll get that straightened out for the zoning board.
Right. And the lot 43 is on the affidavit twice too.
I saw that. I saw
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Mike, can you hear me?
I can sell.
All right, I'm on.
Do you have something to say?
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I had problems with the computer in a hotspot.
That's okay. Did you have a question with regard to the petition?
No, I don't.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I don't know if anybody else
So-
has anything else, but I do have a motion if it's so
Yeah,
desired.
go ahead and make the motion, Mark, because I think everything is set pretty well here.
I make a motion that we send a letter to the zoning board stating that we find that this application creates a significant effect on the comprehensive plan, which could be mediated by the fact that the applicant comply with regulations NR-1 small a, which is to identify the critical resource areas in his property, NR1 small b, which is to reduce the pollution from the resources he uses for his lawn and a grass area. And NR1 small c, which is to get a better education of lawn care and management. We feel that those things would mitigate a large part of the effect on the comp plan and would make this at least tolerable.
How, so you're, I mean, I look at this as being, having a very positive effect and in compliance with the comp plan to upgrade septic and to,
I haven't got that far yet.
well, okay, so I didn't understand, so I guess I didn't understand the significant, go ahead, finish your.
The significant part is the amount of effect it has on the setbacks, the distance. But it does meet with the goals of NR2, which is the wastewater management system, and NR2 capital A, which is the state-of-the-art bottomless sand filter that's being installed, which makes us at a net positive.
Okay, but if the significant impact is that it's distance from the wetlands, it's no closer to the wetlands than an existing property.
No, but as far
We
as
have a larger house in the same footprint, and this makes a better house in the same footprint.
Right.
but it's not within the standard of setback.
No, I understand that, but the application itself has a net positive effect by building a new house to the current code in the same footprint.
I wish they had made it in the same footprint. But I think the 42 feet isn't the end of the world.
Okay,
The way I see this, and after reviewing this whole thing, is the DMV has okayed the 4-bedroom septic system being replacing the cesspool, which is a positive. If the homeowners decided not to tear this building down and put a new one up, but to completely renovate all the walls and the ceiling and everything else, but made it exactly like it is, there would be no questions. I mean, they could go ahead and do it. They would get all their approvals. Am I correct in making that statement?
That's correct.
So my conclusion is the small minimum changes that they make, which would bump into the wetlands, which is, I guess, clear water wetlands and not endangering any species in wetlands. I see no reason why this would not be a big improvement and meet the comprehension plans and Little Compton and improving the areas and neighborhoods. That's my statement.
I'll withdraw my motion.
so do you want to draft, Bob, do you want to draft your motion there?
Oh, boy. I don't have all of the rules memorized like Mark does, but my motion would be that we do send a letter to the zoning board that this would have a positive effect in the neighborhood and an improvement in the neighborhood and meet the comprehension plan almost totally, maybe 90%. That would be my motion.
Is there a second to that? Does anyone else want to offer a motion?
I haven't heard the whole presentation, so I'm going to not second it, but I'd like to just say something that, in what I've heard so far, if we're improving a septic system and it's the comprehensive plan's direction to try to improve all the existing cesspools and everything that are in Little Compton to improve every site possible. And if we're improving the building on the site, and the only change is what, net 42 square feet? Is that what we were saying?
Correct.
I would think that it would be that the effect or the impact on the comprehensive plan would be positive. So I'm inclined to think that the working sought here is a positive effect on the comprehensive.
Okay, are there any other comments?
And I would agree with what Bob and Sal was saying. And it seems to me from the layout, the area of the property that's going to be coming in closer to the wetland is actually a deck. It's not the building itself. Am I correct in understanding that? It's that front deck near the garage that's coming into that 15-foot area. The other parts of the building are well within the existing structure.
It's the front deck and also the southwest corner of the structure are going to be at 15 feet.
Oh, yeah, okay, but I mean, that's going out minimally, right?
Yeah.
And looking at it, that's barely coming off the existing structure. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yep.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. So, I mean, based on that, I guess I would second Bob's motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. I guess we'd better do a roll call for, unless there are any further comments.
Would you like me to do the roll call?
Yes, yes, please. Yes,
Okay.
please.
Bob Murphy,
Aye.
Mark Katie,
Nay.
Mary Satel,
Aye.
Helen Woodhouse,
Aye.
Mike Steers,
Aye.
Dave Boschman,
Aye.
Bob Torsia,
No.
Sal Marinossi,
Aye.
Richard Ross.
No.
That was 4-3. Did I read that correctly?
6-3, I think, Carol.
6-3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 6-3. So it passes.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all. So, our next item of business has to do with dotted lines. And Mark asked us to put this on, and we, hopefully everybody got copies of the information. And I see we have Denise on our Zoom. So, Mark, why don't you lead the conversation if you would?
Well, we can start off with the letter that was received on September 25th, 2017 from Alan Booth, which is, it starts out with dotted lines, but then it goes into lots where the house actually crosses the lot line. And I think Denise may be able to discuss this a little more clearly than I can. But it's a problem in more than just one way with the dotted lines. So Denise, if you can unmute yourself and thank you.
Hello, all.
Hi, Denise.
Hi. So the dotted lines go back to when Stanley Engineering platted the town, replatted the town. And at that time, he found he had different questions and concerns with some lots when he researched them. Some were conveyed to a single owner, and they referenced different parcels. somewhere when he did research were maybe like woodlots or right of ways. He asked the assessors at the time how they wanted to be described on the plat maps. They said, put them as one lot and put a dotted line referencing the other lots. And I've come to find out that some of these are like to meet zoning of 2 acres. Some of them are to give someone an extra little space so that they could put a shed or a house or a garage. So basically they're one use, so the dotted lines could be erased. Most cases, we could look at them as a case by case scenario if we wanted to, but I think if we enabled an ordinance so that we could do that, that could be, something we could consider.
It just seems to me that if you have one lot number in one deed, then there is no need for that dotted line. It's one lot. It's not 2 lots. It may have been that lot was combined in a subdivision in the past, but the dotted line never went away.
You want to do the dog?
And that seems to be the case quite a bit.
Mike?
Yes,
could
Carol.
I just
Yes,
want
please.
to add a little input here.
Yeah.
Mark is not entirely correct. The law says that those tax assessor maps, the plat and lot numbers, are for reference only. And it was the tax assessors, as Denise mentioned years ago, that decided to tax as one lot. The land evidence records are the true legal records for whether they are lots of record or not. And there may very well be some combinations here that once you approach the property owner, you can convince them that it's really one lot and ask them to legally combine them. But they are legal lots of record. So unless there's a house across the lot where you have a legal reason to show that they've been using it as one lot and it should remain that way, you can't just of your own accord combine them. There's a process that will have to be followed.
That's why I said that we had to have the deed, for one lot, which would be what's in the land evidence records.
Well, there are many deeds for those lots. Some of them are one deed that shows several parcels, and sometimes they're actually separate deeds for each little lot of those dotted lines.
Right, we've had several of those where a dotted line was there, but yet they produced deeds showing that the 3 parcels were purchased at separate times at separate transactions.
Mhm.
And those have been considered to be 3 separate lots.
By law, they are.
Right.
They've been being taxed differently, but
Correct.
how they're being taxed and how they are actually in the land records are 2 different things.
Correct.
So from the planning board perspective, we have always treated these as separate lots. So occasionally we have people ask us, and as an administrative subdivision, to, if there's a very small area, which is determined by the dotted line or a slice of an existing lot, we have in the past executed administrative subdivisions, taking land from the adjacent property and adding it to the dotted line lot, I'm going to call it, so that the dotted line lot is less substandard. Even though the dotted line lot with additional land does not conform to current zoning. So that there are some people that have objected on that basis. But I think that I know that Denise is coming up for a new revaluation. And I believe even in Mr. Booth's letter, he sort of implies that to have equity of taxing, if the land evidence records reflects it as a separate lot, it should be identified and taxed as accordingly, whether or not it's, I suppose there'd be different criteria to determine if it was a very small fraction of an acre, would it be considered a building lot? And I'm not sure how the process to resolve that would be, but certainly lots that have them where clearly the dotted line portion is a building lot or would be considered a building lot is considered a building lot because it's a legal lot. The town, I think he's recommending that the town recognize it and number it as such so that it's taxed accordingly. But I sort of view that as sort of the first big question. If the lot's considered a buildable lot and a legal separate lot, do we want to identify it as such?
I have a question. Don't most individual or specified lots have lot numbers?
Yeah, but it's, as to Carol's point, it's a reference. It's the plat book reference of
So,
the property.
But, yeah, if the reference of the property, but if it doesn't have a lot number, are there any situations where there are lots without lot numbers?
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's sort of the core of the question here is every lot that is a dotted line lot has a deed description that makes that distinction. So when you look at the
Yeah.
numbered lot, if there's a dotted line that goes across it, if you then, I'm going to assume for the most part, then if you go research those deeds, you'll discover that the dotted line portion is referred to as parcel A and the other is parcel B. Or
Okay,
it's one
all
or
right.
two. But there's some legal definition of the area that's separated, and we have always treated that as a separate legal lot.
Mike, just to quote what Elliot Stanley from Stanley Engineering said, the dotted lines were established as an informative way to indicate to the assessors and others that a possible lot of record may exist and perhaps could be shown as a separate parcel. These
Well,
are lots of records on recorded maps, but not necessarily indicated in deed transfers. These are parcels of record as identified by deed, but usually relatively small or with no apparent access. There are also parcel lines that may have been formerly been there, but have been combined or altered by a deed. They could be there because someone doing research found that they were individually described parcels. They could be platted streets or the edges of water or where water used to be. They could be boundaries that once appeared there but now have vanished. So there's lots of different scenarios.
Yeah, I understand that, but at the end of the day, we have treated them, it's been the practice of the town that we've treated them as lots.
As a
From
single lot.
From a planning board, subdivision, land evidence record standpoint. So if there's going to be a change to that, that's why I think Mr. Booth wrote to the council. The council has to decide, and he's referenced, the state legislation that 45, 23, 37 that enables the council to pass an ordinance that would provide direction as to how to deal with these fractions. But at the moment, I believe our practice has been to treat them as separate lots.
Mike, if we treated these as separate lots and then we approached the owner and pulled out the documentation for the deeds on records, what we're trying to say is, since we recognize them, let's say we recognize them as three different lots on one large parcel, have we been taxing them as three separate lots or no?
No, we have not.
Right, we've been taxing them as one lot. So we could say to the landowner, this is what we've been taxing you on, but you actually said in your deed that these are three separate lots, so you have a decision to make. You can keep them as per the deed of record as three separate lots, or you can go with one lot.
The question is, if the town and the town council decides that they would like to approach landowners and explain that situation and move in a direction, then that's the decision that would have to be made. As I think, as you look at this correspondence, and which includes, from 2002 and where the solicitor has responded, there's been no appetite for the town to combine lots. Tiverton and other towns have created a time limit where you have to either develop the lot, make it a separate lot, or combine the lots. But we have chosen not to do any of those things and force the hand. So
we could put a lot merger ordinance in place like other cities and towns, and the homeowner would get a notice saying that you have separate lots, but if you chose to keep them that way, they would be taxed that way. And if you wanted to combine them, then you lose your right to ever subdivide them again, or they'd have to go before planning board for approval.
yes,
If-
we could do that. That's that would be the decision of the council to move.
So could we be recommending to the council that we do that?
Well, I think if the planning board had a feeling about a direction that they would like the council to consider, then it would be time for to make that recommendation, probably as we would any ordinance change, and have an information meeting and an open discussion so that the public had an opportunity to discuss it, and the pros and cons would be considered, and the other, certainly the zoning board has had some opinions on this, and other boards and towns have had thoughts on this.
Yeah, I don't think that it's anything that the planning board themselves can do. We could choose to back the assessor if the assessor decided to do that. But it might almost behoove us to have a workshop where we could take some of these dotted line lots and look at them and look at the deeds, and so we can better understand what the circumstances may be. Like Mike says, some of them dotted lines represent such a small portion of the lot that they couldn't even put a septic on it, never mind a house. Well, in that case, they probably would opt to add it to their existing property. But if they did that, then that would clear up the deed and we would have one lot with one lot number. The other problem is that a lot of times these dotted lines are being used as excuses to evade some of the transfer tax too, which is another loss in revenue to the town. But, just because it says parcel A and parcel B doesn't mean it's two lots.
Exactly.
I beg to differ, it does.
Yeah.
That's
And
how they dealt with it.
The other situation that could arise is a property owner could have two deeds or three deeds, three separate lots or four separate lots. And if we allow them to put them into separate lots, I mean, if the lot was big enough, based on maybe being grandfathered in, you didn't need to be 2 acre zoning or what have you. We could wind up with a few extra houses that maybe we wouldn't want in a certain area. Overpopulated area.
Bob, that's definitely true. I mean, in my area, there's a ton of small lots, and in many cases, the same person owns 2 or 3 lots together next to one another, and they're very substandard in nature for development. But I mean, that's what you're getting. You get two very, very small lots, and they're gonna put two houses on it because we're not, applying that situation where if you have two lots together and they're both substandard, you should, couple them together for development. And, that is a planning tool, by the way. I mean, I think that's one of our jobs, that to make recommendations like that, in my view. I mean, if we have a situation where we have very, very small lots and you have 2 or 3 owners that own large parcels with 5 or 6 of these lots in one area, we should be pushing for them to couple those lots together for development.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. I think the step that we ought to take instead of jumping into a decision is to sit down and see actually what are we looking at as far as all these dotted lines go all over the place. So I'd be willing to be part of some sort of group, committee, ad hoc committee, whatever, to take a look at this.
So Denise, as you get ready for the reval, are you thinking of recommending, you run the assessor's office. It's really what guidance or what would you like to ask the different boards and towns to do, and how would you like to structure this review of the situation?
I concur with what Alan had said, that, there was a state law that was passed for this merger, and sending a letter to the taxpayer and saying, we have an issue here where you have multiple so-called dotted line, lots of records, which are maybe parcels, maybe not parcels. If you want to exercise your right to keep them as separate parcels, you'll be taxed as separate parcels. If you choose not to, then they'll be continue to stay as one.
So have since let's see, 2017, have you formally approached the town council for a discussion with regard to this letter, or it's kind of, where does it stand at the moment? He made this recommendation, and then
and it went to the town council on the 17th, in 17, and they said we would look at it further, and we're still looking at it.
So maybe, I mean, it would seem to me that we certainly don't want to do anything by ourselves, and the planning board doesn't have a place to do anything by itself, but we could certainly ask the council for feedback on their current thoughts relative to this letter, and would they like the planning board to work on the subject, because we certainly could do that. And Bob's point, I've never thought about a Zoom workshop, but anyway, we could certainly have a robust discussion on the subject, but I think it's important that we get guidance from the council as to, they want us to study it and think about it, and offer an opinion, that we should ask for that, and then go.
I make a motion that we empower Mike to send a letter to the town council, asking them if they have any interest in us exploring this any further or interacting with the assessor's office on this.
I'll
second
second
that.
that.
Second it.
All right, to that, so we're clear, the thought would be that I'll write a cover letter to Mr. Booth's letter and ask for guidance and an update as to their thoughts and.
Correct.
You want to take a vote on that?
Do you want me to do roll call?
Yes, please.
Okay. Mark Katie,
In favor?
Mary Satel,
In favor?
Mike Steers,
Aye.
Dave Boschman,
In favor?
Bob Torsia. I couldn't hear you, Bob.
In favor.
Thank you. Bob Murphy,
In favor?
Helen Woodhouse,
Yes.
Sal Marinowski,
Yes.
and Richard Ross.
Yes.
Okay. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think that concludes the business of the evening. I need a motion for correspondence.
Go ahead, Sal.
So moved.
I make a motion that we file the correspondence in the appropriate folders.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Unanimous then to file them.
Now it's your motion, Sal.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Anyone opposed?
Okay, no one's opposed, so we'll declare it unanimous to adjourn.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
You're